Good morning, good morning. This is Jacqueline Richardson, Miss JJ Diamond, Deja, Jackie, whatever y'all call me. Today I'm a little late, y'all, and I do apologize. I'm not feeling that great today. It's just one of the mornings where I woke up and I'm feeling like, ugh, you know. However, I'm thankful I'm alive and thankful for those that's out there. Everybody's alive and well. That's the thing, being well and alive. The weather here in Charlotte's a little cool today. We had 56 degrees this morning. But it's sunny, bright sunny, and it's going to warm up. This is good weather, good sleeping weather. Today, I wanted to talk about how well do we or you know God. I personally was brought up in a family of people that were strong believers of God. Most of my family are Catholics, and my grandmother, my great grandmother, she was a Methodist, and I was baptized as a Baptist when I was very young. Used to go to church all the time. Quite as kept, like 3 times a week. It was serious. Hold on, I need to make some adjustments around me. So, you see the dogs is barking outside. I don't want y'all to hear the dogs barking. They can get really loud, the dogs, when they start barking. Okay. When you, and this is for adults, this as well as the youth. When you decide to bring yourself to God, you have to bring your children right along with you, in order, or your family. I'm going to just say your family. If you're in a relationship where one doesn't want to follow, it's going to be difficult, but you got to keep going. Like I was saying from the beginning, I've been in this thing, learning about God since I was a small child. I was going to church at 9, 3 days a week, One reason was because I was in the choir. And, the choir started at 5. And I believe, we was going 3 days a week then as well. Then at 9, I was going by myself. My mother was an affiliate. I had found my own church and went off and started, doing my own thing. And that was at 9. Now I want to talk a little bit about the things that I experienced throughout this process of learning the knowledge, on how to give God the love so you can receive it back. I've had so many challenges all my life, but the end result always is God, and I had to learn that, the end result was always God. And I'm going to tell y'all some stories today. And, this is why I'm strong. I have strong faith. A lot of people don't understand how my faith is so strong, how I can make decisions based on knowing God, and just throw myself out there, you know what I mean? And, they say, well, how can you do that? Aren't you afraid? No, I got God with me, and they don't understand what I've experienced in my lifetime, knowing God, okay? Now, I want to talk about my story in Wounded, Survive, and Thrive. I'm going to start with that story because that was my first real experience calling on God, and He came, and covered me, At that time, I didn't fully know how to pray the correct way. I knew to pray, but I didn't know like all final details, which I've learned as I gotten older. And I prayed and I prayed. Once I saw that depending on people wasn't going to work, and it took a while, during the duration of, and if y'all read the book, my story, Faith to Forgive, and Wounded, Survive, and Thrive, you will see where I say in there how I was contacting family members and how other family members were blocking those contacts to get the help that me and my little brother needed. Everything around me was being blocked. Okay. So I couldn't depend on the human being, the human flesh. And you notice that God says in the Bible, don't put no man before me, and as a child, I didn't know, why everybody that kept asking for help. And this was serious. Everything was the truth, why I wasn't getting the help that was needed. I just didn't understand. So I finally gave up on saying, people help me. I finally gave up and I just prayed. God was my last result. It was like, okay, these people are not listening. My brother's dying. I can be next. What am I to do? And I was 12 years old. So it was like, how do I overcome this situation? And I couldn't see no way out of it. No way. I thought me and my brother was going to die in that house. Okay. And that's just the God honest truth. I'm being as honest as possible with you guys about that situation, However, I prayed and I prayed, and the night before my brother died, the day before my brother died, my grandmother had took me out to buy a coat, and I just kept looking at her like, why are you not helping me? But she seen that day what this man was doing to me, and she stopped him, and she would just look at me, but I just couldn't understand like what her thoughts was, because she wouldn't talk to me about it. She would just look at me like, that I'm sorry look, because when kids talk, sometimes, especially in the Black communities, when kids talk, sometimes they do make up lies, but as parents, we have to investigate. As grandparents, as, you just have to investigate, and that's just what it is. You know what I mean? You have to take it for, just like when you go to court, you're innocent until proven guilty. Okay? Well, even with a child, if they're telling you something is going on that could really be hurting them physically and mentally, they're innocent until proven guilty. Okay? And I stand by that because of what happened to me. Now, granted, I've been on both sides where a child of mine went out and lied about situations, but I wasn't charged because I was innocent until proven guilty. You know what I mean? You have to prove the things that a person lies about. So, with my brother, it was proven, that he was raped, that he was suffering, that he was dying, okay? That we were being pretty much tortured, okay? So it was proven. My family didn't investigate, okay? And that's where they went wrong, okay? However, I still love them, they were taught the way they were taught back in the day, and they followed that suit. However, since I've been through this channel and down this journey with God, I have a job to do, okay? Because that's something God did not want implemented in my life, okay, where we turn the cheek and say whatever's happening to you is happening to you. This is going to be a new day, a new way of living. Anyway, my brother wound up going into cardiac arrest the next day. He got, and that's in the book. Y'all can read it. I prayed that night and that morning, because like I said, I had no where else to turn. Okay, but God. And being that I was a person that had faith and went to church all the time and studied, and I didn't think to apply it right away. You know what I mean? And that's what happens to us. We always look for being to be there to help us to get through a situation. And sometimes God would implement a being to be there. Okay? See, that's the thing. We got to pay attention. Sometimes God will implement a being to be there to help us through a situation. However, you have to go to God first so he can implement that. And that's just the way it works. People ask me all the time, well, why does it work that way? Because God said, put no man before me. Okay? Meaning, I'm the one that chooses who needs to come into your life and take care of your situation. Okay? You can't choose for yourself. Okay? And that's the way God works. That morning when my brother went into cardiac arrest and we called the ambulance and everything, I was so, of course, messed up. I didn't understand what was going on. I helped my brother stay alive a little bit longer by giving him CPR. However, we were saved. Even though my brother lost his life 3 days later, we were saved. I was saved. Okay? And I was saying to myself, is that all I had to do? Was pray? I'm sorry, y'all. Every time I talk about my little brother, tears come to my eyes. And it burns so bad, and I'm trying to hold it back. And this is why I can't complete the book, because this is what happens to me, okay? And I do apologize for this. Not being able to hold my emotions, because I'm living it all over and all over and all over again. And it's not an easy process. It's not. But I wanted to tell y'all about how God removed me from this situation. Even though my brother lost his life, God removed me from the situation. There was no more pain. There was no more abuse. There was no more nothing, because he took me out of that situation like I asked him. And he sent the people. I'm sorry, y'all. He sent the ambulance people to get me and my brother out of there, because they was able to verify what was going on in our lives. Okay? To get us to the hospital and, check us out, make sure that we're okay. And I kept saying to myself, is that all I had to do was pray to God? But I started losing a little bit of faith, and I'm going to tell y'all why. Because I didn't understand why he took my brother. I just couldn't get it. Okay, why couldn't you have saved us both? And I felt like a part of me was snatched away from me. What was God trying to teach me? I don't know. But I do know he saved me, And it hurt for a lot of years because I couldn't understand why my brother had to die. You know, when the doctors looked at me and they told me that they wasn't going to be able to save my brother, that it was too late, I just couldn't get it. So I had gained more faith for God, but then on the other hand, I started losing faith for God because I was like, why, you know? But I had to learn that in order for God to teach sometimes he sacrifices, you know? And that took many, 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 many years, okay? I had to bear that pain, okay? In order for me to give the children of today the love that they deserve and protect them, okay? Y'all may not understand because y'all haven't been through it, but it took me many, many years to understand. And now here I am today, even I say 30 years ago, I protected children, okay, because I didn't want the same thing to happen to them. If it was a child that was on the street because their parents didn't want them, I would let them in my house. I would take care of them as they're my own. Why did God put me down that journey? Because he knew it was going to be more kids like me because we're in a cruel world, okay? Through that journey, you know, of learning God's process, it's been real difficult, you know. It's like you're a student every day learning God's process, you know, and getting stronger every single day, you know. God takes us through, and this is why people have testimonies. God takes us through challenges so we will know what we should not do, you know, in order to serve him properly. You know, sometimes we fall victim to the worldly things because we go through whatever we go through, and sometimes we just get weak, and that's because we're not perfect, you know. However, we have to continue to try and do better by God, you know, in order for him to give us the shine that we want, you know, and want to seek. Now, I'm going to give y'all another story, something that had happened to me. My grandmother had told me, and my grandma Tina, I was living with my grandma Tina, and not my mom Tina, my grandma Tina. I was living with Grandma Tina. My mom was in Florida because that's where our family comes from. So she was in Florida at the time, and I was living in New York. And my Grandma Tina she was very strict grandmother, but she was also a loving grandmother, you know. And she went through a lot as a child as well, you know, and she had told me some stories. So now that I'm an adult, I understand a lot of those things, you know, and who made her the person that she is, you know. My grandmother she was the type, you know, you walk in her house, if you smell, she wasn't allowing it. You got to wash your body. You can't be walking through my house smelling. She never had a dish in the sink, ever. Okay. House always stayed immaculate. Okay. Everything in order. And she was very strict about people coming in her house. You know. Well, she had told me that she didn't want a certain person coming in her house. And I wound up letting them in anyway because it was affiliate of me and my daughter, okay? And I felt sorry for them, you know, so I wound up letting them in the house when she wasn't there. And she came home and she saw they was in the house, and she said to me, and I didn't hide, you know, because I wasn't the type of person to hide. You know, she confronted me right head on, and I had to accept the consequences. And those consequences were you have to go. You can't stay here if you don't abide by my rules. And I said, okay. I didn't argue with her because I wasn't that type of person. If a person tell me they don't want me around, excuse me, I'm not going to fight and argue with them. That's their choice, So I got my daughter together, okay, and packed up a little things, and I left. Now, I thought about my whole scenario and where could I go now. But yeah, I know if I told y'all, I don't know if I told y'all in the past that where I was living with my aunt and them, they were very funny about me having a baby at 16. I had a baby, Shaquana at 16. So they felt embarrassment behind that. Okay. So they put me out. But when they put me out, I went back home to my mom. And then my mom went to Florida, left me there with my grandma. Because she was dealing with some things as well. And she wasn't ready to become a grandmother, so she had to get her life in order. However, there was people around me, but was these people safe enough for me to bring my daughter into their environment? Okay. And I just didn't know what to do at the moment. You know what I mean? So I got on a train and I rode the train for about 5 hours. Okay. And it became daylight. Okay. I guess because people started going to work and me and my baby was on the train. And I was sitting in the corner seat. For those that's in New York that know, I was sitting in a corner seat. And it was this couple. Shout out to Mike and Wanda. I'm gonna always love you guys. It was this couple, and they looked at me. They kept staring at me, and I would put my head down, and they stare at me. Now, mind you, throughout the duration of this train ride, I was praying. I thought back what happened to me and my little brother, and I prayed. And, tears would come down my eyes. I don't know if they saw, your face get ashy, whatever. They might have saw the tear ashiness on my face or the salt dry up from my, face, on my face. And the man said to me, Mike, are you okay? And I said, yeah, and I put my head down. His wife said, no, something's not right. I can tell. What's going on with you? So, they scooted over. They waited for the people that was sitting across from me to get up, and they came over there and they, started talking to me. And I told them, I said, I messed up. I had brought somebody in my grandmother's house and she told me I had to leave, and I don't have no place to go with me and my baby. So I'll never forget this day. I can see it like it was yesterday. And he looked at me and he was like, hey, you made a mistake. And I said, yeah, I made a mistake, And it was like, this is my stop. In other words, they had to go, And when the guy Mike got to the door, he turned around and he said, are you coming? And I just looked at him and I said, coming where? He said, coming home. And this makes me cry too. Y'all, I'm very emotional, And I just looked up at him and I said, okay. And I grabbed my baby in my bag and I got off the train with them. I didn't know these people at all, okay? They lived on 149th Street and what is that? 8th, I believe. It was 8th. Anyway, so they took me home. And this is the part that's gonna blow your mind. They had 10 kids. And I tell you no lie. They had 10 kids. 10 kids. And I'm like, How are we all going to fit in this house? They gave me a bedroom for just me and Shaquana. They said you can stay as long as you need to. I said, okay. I mean, it wasn't the perfect home, but they gave me a roof over my head. Okay? And that's because I prayed and I had faith that I wasn't going to be on that train long. I had faith. And that God was going to send somebody in my life that was going to just do exactly what they did. They taught me so much. Yeah. How to budget, how to cook for a big family. It was like God prepared me for the life that I have to live now, you know, cooking for big families, cooking for, you know, like when I have dinners, like sometimes I'll have barbecues, I make sure I cook a lot of food. Even when I was in Buffalo, I used to cook a lot of food to feed all of the people that would come and just need a plate, you know, or just want to be around and have dinner with us, you know. And it's the same here in Charlotte. I'll cook a lot of food sometimes. It's not all the time, it's sometimes. But I know how to budget and be able to make it happen and everybody eat and nobody's hungry, you know. That was the journey that God took me down. Okay? It was a total of their 10 kids plus them, that's 12, and me and Shaquana, that's 14. Okay? Now, for those that's in Harlem that know, remember, you know, we even had a couple of other people come live with us, okay? But we survived. You know what I mean? On bare minimum, we survived. And I was thankful. You know, I was so thankful because I had a roof over my head. I might not have had all the things that I wanted, but I had a roof over my head. I had my own private space. I'm going to say for that moment, life was good. Because it wasn't a train. I was able to take a bath when I wanted to. You know, I had people, kids to, even though, because I was still a child. You know, I was 16 years old. So it's like, how do you turn into this adult right away? You know, Wanda had babies, you know, and I knew how to take care of a baby a little bit, you know, based on what my people taught me, but I didn't know everything. So I got the chance to watch Wanda take care of her kids and the experience that she had because she had 10 of them. Okay? So, you know, I was blessed to be in that situation. You know what I mean? And sometimes we look at scenarios, you know, and we say to ourselves like, is this situation going to be a good situation? But what is the learning experience throughout that situation going to be? And that's the key, you know. And that's the journeys that God take us down. And eventually, my aunt had passed away through that, you know, and well, before that, you know, and she told me to come on home, you know. She's seen how much I've grown as a child, you know, being a mother when I came back before they were dying, you know. I didn't see them again until my uncle passed away, you know, because I went to the funeral. Even though they didn't want me to be there, I still, you know, showed my respect and love, you know, and I went to the funeral. And that's when my aunt, you know, I'll never forget that. I see that like it was yesterday. She was sitting on the couch and she said, you know, I don't have much time left, you know, and your uncle is gone, you know, and I don't know how much longer it's going to be for me, but you're welcome to come back home. You know, we have a little bit more space now, you know, and I was like, okay, you know, but I didn't take it. I didn't take the welcome home, you know, just because my uncle passed away. You know, I didn't take it. I still stayed where I was and maneuvered through life, you know, trying to get a job and do the things that I needed to do to upgrade my life, with my baby. What do you want? I have Egypt here looking at me, y'all. But with that being said, when we stop Egypt, please, not this morning. If you're gonna say hi, say hello. This is a podcast about God, and I don't need you coming in here disrupting it. We're not having fun today. We'll do a podcast later or a vlog, and we can act out. Okay? She wants to act out on the blog, and I want to give her that, but not right now. Because right now we're talking about God and having faith. I understood the journeys that God was taking me down and why, and what He was allowing me to see based on my life, Because I really wasn't a bad kid, It's just something that happened. I made a mistake. And instead of people accepting the mistake, they didn't want to accept it. They wanted to pretty much point the finger, and not only that, at my aunt's house, it really wasn't enough space in there, to have a baby. They would have had to do a lot of maneuvering around, however, I still had to have faith in God no matter what I went through, because my life is going to change due to whatever, excuse me, whatever journey God was taking me down. So I had to be ready for that change each and every time, God takes us through these journeys, y'all. And this is why I tell y'all the process of thinking plays a great part of you knowing what journey to go down when God is involved. Okay? You look at the signs. Is this godly? Is this not godly? Is this over here godly? You take the time to analyze the situation. You think about the situation. Sometimes we be up in the middle of the night and we wonder why. And we say, why? I can't sleep. God could be trying to tell you something, And I live strongly by that, And sometimes you just have to think about your scenarios, what's going on in your life, and what God could be trying to tell you, Having faith is hard. Some people say, oh, well, God didn't do this, I did this. If God didn't put it in your mind and open up those doors and those journeys for you to get it, you wouldn't have it, believe me. There's some people out here, and I tell people all the time, when God is involved, things are easy. Okay? Not hard. So this is where we have to see if things are getting really, really overbearing for us, it's because the devil is doing his work. Okay? Because the devil makes things hard because he wants us to submit and say, forget it. Okay? But when God has his hands in something, and you pray about it, and talk to God, especially if you talk to God on a regular basis, it's at the snap of a finger. Things that happen so quick. It's unreal. And you be like, how did that happen? I just prayed about that. That's how fast God can work. Okay? So when you have that bond, okay? So I've been having that bond since I was young because of my life. Because of what happened, A lot of people don't understand it. You will never understand it because you didn't physically go through it. You didn't experience it. So you won't understand my faith, okay? Because you're not me. God took me down that journey. This is what makes us so unique, because God takes us all down different journeys so we can do a job for him, okay? Whether you receive that journey and that job, it's up to you. Okay? However, he takes us down these journeys. And this is what we have to do. Okay? In order to continue to stay happy in God's way. and to receive the blessings that he gives ASAP. Okay? I'm going to use this for instance. You know, a lot of people feel like I should have been verified on Instagram, Facebook, and the rest of them, you know, because I've been out here in this celebrity famous thing for over 30 years. And they're right. I should have blue check marks on my stuff. But I'm not paying for it because I deserve it. I'm not going to pay for something that I should already have when I opened up my books. I'm not paying for that. That's not God's way. Okay? Not saying that I'm supposed to get everything for free, but I'm saying it on the factor of before I came through the door, I already had the status that I have right now. Okay? When I go outside, I still have a status. I don't even need social media to keep that status outside, and I got a status with God. Why should I have to pay for something I already had coming through the door? Okay? So, I'm telling y'all about this one because my faith tells me, don't give it to him. You keep on working. Don't give it to him. Because a blue check mark doesn't signify who you are, and it doesn't prove that you're not who you say you are. So I'm not giving it to them. Now, if they choose they want to go ahead and give it to me, I respect it. But you're not going to signify to me and to anybody else who I am. Okay? That's God's choice. So with that being said, you know, I've made the decision not to pay them. They can write all over my pages. Oh, you know, get your check mark, get your check mark. I'm not paying them. I'm not giving it to them. Because I've been in business too long. Okay? I've been owning businesses since I was young, and that's the other thing I wanted to get back to y'all about. And this is still about the faith of God. I got my first business in Buffalo. Okay? And it was by mistake. The business was actually by mistake. Okay? I got in trouble messing with the wrong people. Okay? And, of course, y'all know who I look up to because God had already showed me, don't put no man before me. So, of course, I prayed on it. You know. My determination in court was to make sure I get my driver's license. And, because I was driving around with no driver's license, people. Wrong thing to do. Anyway. Then I went, no, they told me I had to do some community service. So I said, okay. So I said, well, you know, I prayed to God. He gave it to me easy. Look what I gained. I didn't have no record. I just needed to get my driver's license, which was going to benefit me anyway. Right? And I was able to go and work for a community center. Okay? Which I love being around people and doing things. So, I didn't get away with it scot-free, but it was easy. You know why? Because God's hands was in it. Even though I made a mistake, hanging with the wrong people. Sometimes even God has to even show us, He has to show us things through other people sometimes. You know what I mean? And what He showed me through that was, you need not to be hanging with these people that's not right. Okay? I'm going to stop this right now. And you need to go down this journey I'm about to take you down. Okay? And I followed. Okay? So now I'm at the community center and they asked me to clean. You know. You come by, do a couple of hours and do some cleaning, whatever. So I started cleaning, you know, around the community center. And he said, you clean better than my cleaning staff. Who raised you? Huh? And I said, huh? He said, who raised you? He said, are you from Buffalo? I said, no, I'm actually from New York City, but a lot of my family is from Buffalo. He said, what's your last name? So I told him, at the time it was Dowdy. I told him. He said, Lord, Miss Dowdy, he said, you're gonna do well. You're gonna be a great entrepreneur because you need to open you up a cleaning service. So I said, no, I'm not ready for business yet. I'm still young, I'm still trying to fill out life. I'm not ready for that. So he said, well, I'm telling you right now, you're going to do a wonderful job. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I did my little community service. Got done with that. It was easy. And I had fun because they always had little events going on at the community center. And I met a lot of people in Buffalo. Got that over and done with. Got my driver's license. I was like a happy camper. Okay. Case was over. I was good. So now I'm out at the store, and me and Charlie, for those that know who she is, I turned around and this guy kept looking at me and staring at me. He said, how you doing? So God, here we go, another one trying to come at me, but I was patient. I was just like, he said, you know how to clean? You look like you know how to clean. I looked at him. Yeah, I know how to clean. Why? He said, because I own some houses. And these tenants messed up my place. And it needs cleaning. And I was going to get a cleaning service. But I ain't had time. And I saw you. You look like you know how to clean. I said, well, how do you look like you know how to clean? Okay, that was funny to me. I don't know what I had on that particular day, but I guess it looked like I could clean in that stuff. I don't know. However, I took on a job, and it was a terrible job, y'all. I mean, a terrible job. But off of that job, I made $1,000 that day. Okay. $800 for the job, $200 for the tip. Okay, because I had a terrible job to do. Okay, I mean, when I say terrible, it was terrible. These people were so nasty, and this is why we talk about keeping our places clean. Because you don't know what the next person got to come in and go through to clean up what you did. They had dogs, and they would leave the dogs in the back stairs, and the dogs would poop and then walk on the poop and mash the poop down into the ground. I never tell y'all a lie. The poop was this thick. Once I dug a blade down. That scraper blade? Well, I dug one of those down in to break it up and get it out. Okay. And I was so sick. Okay, because I always had a weak stomach. I was gagging and everything, but I did the job. Okay. I did the job, got the job done. Okay. Me and Charlie, we did it in about 5 hours, so I made $1,000 in 5 hours. I was like, whoa. And I didn't wake up. Okay. I just want to tell y'all, and I was broke. We was at the store trying to figure out what we was buying, and I was budgeting. I was broke, but I prayed on it. Okay. I prayed on it. And I said, God, please send me some money, a job or something, please. I need something. I got to take care of these kids. I woke up that morning, went to the store, and that's when I met the guy. By the evening, I had a grand. How does that happen? Okay? So I said, you know what? I said, God, I don't know what you're doing with me. Okay, but I love it. Okay? And I'm going to just keep it real with y'all. Okay? I said, I don't know what he's doing with me. But I love this, what he doing with me, because I went to bed last night broke, only had about $10 trying to figure out how I'm going to feed my babies. I prayed on it, woke up the next morning, met a man. He put $1,000 in my hand by that evening. Okay? And I'm just using this to explain to y'all how God works. Okay? Then I took some of the money, of course, took care of my bills or whatever, and then I took some of the money and invested and opened up a cleaning service, and that was DNC Cleaning Service, Deja and Charlie's Cleaning Service, okay? Because I saw what God was trying to get me to do, He showed me twice, and then the second time I got paid for it. Very well.